The average Social Security check in 2026 is $2,075 a month. After Medicare Part B takes its cut, you're left with about $1,865 to live on. Most people hear that and immediately cross California off the list. State median home price is over $800,000. Utilities are brutal. Taxes are high. Makes sense, right? Except there are towns in the state where the cost of living is actually below the national average. Rent under $1,000, homes under $250, monthly budgets that fit inside a Social Security check with room to spare. These are 10 of those towns. Real numbers, real trade-offs. Starting with number 1. Porterville is in Tulare County, about an hour southeast of Fresno, sitting right at the base of the Sierra Nevada foothills. Population around 63,000. It's not tiny, but it's not a city either, just big enough to have your basics covered. The cost of living here is about 2% below the national average and roughly 30% below the California state average. That's a huge gap. Median home value sits around $300,000. If you own your home outright, your monthly fixed costs here are genuinely low. Property taxes in Tulare County run about 0.75%. On a $300,000 home, that's around $187 a month. Add utilities at maybe $300 to $350, groceries at a couple hundred, and your total monthly cost without a mortgage comes in well under $1,000. That's Social Security with money left over. If you're renting, it's tighter. 2 bedrooms go for about $1,100 to $1,200, which eats up most of your check. Sierra View Medical Center is in town for basic care. For specialists, you're driving an hour to Fresno. Now, the big negative. The southern San Joaquin Valley has some of the worst air quality in the entire country. If you have respiratory issues, this is a real problem. The town is also quiet, not a lot to do day to day. But Sequoia National Park is about an hour east, and the foothill scenery is genuinely pretty. Porterville works best for someone who owns their home, doesn't need a big social scene, and wants a simple, affordable life with mountain access. Housing, 7 out of 10. Healthcare, 5. Air quality, 3. It's on the list because the math works, but it's at number 10 because other towns do it better. Way up in the northeast corner of the state, Susanville's closer to Reno than it is to Sacramento, county seat of Lassen County. Population around 16,000 and dropping. And the prices here are wild. 2-bedroom rentals go for about $700 to $800 a month. In California, if your Social Security check is $1,865 and your rent is $800, you've got over $1,000 left for everything else. That budget actually breathes. Homes are available well under $200,000 in some cases. The cost of living is about 27% below the California average. Now here's why it's this cheap. Susanville's economy ran on logging and prisons. The timber industry has been declining for years, and in 2023, the California Correctional Center was closed as part of the state's prison reduction plan. That was hundreds of jobs gone. People have been leaving, businesses have closed. The town is in a tough transition right now, and nobody knows what it's becoming. For a retiree, that matters less because you don't need the local job market. You need affordable housing and basic services. Banner Lassen Medical Center is in town for emergencies. For anything serious, you're driving an hour and a half to Reno or 2 hours to Redding. The winters are real. Snow, ice, below freezing for months. If you hate cold, this is not your place. But if you want 4 seasons, Eagle Lake 20 minutes away, Lassen Volcanic National Park an hour west, dark skies, pine forests, and absolute quiet for $800 a month, Susanville delivers. The retirees who end up here tend to be outdoors people. Hunters, fishers, hikers who want space. If that's you, it's a gold mine. If it's not, it's going to feel like exile. Housing, 9 out of 10. Healthcare, 4. Lifestyle, 4 for most, 8 for the right person. Barstow sits on I-15 in the Mojave Desert, halfway between LA and Las Vegas. Population around 25,000. This is the town you've driven through 100 times without thinking about living there. 2-bedroom apartments run about $1,100. Homes are available in the low to mid 200s, some of the cheapest in all of Southern California. Now the obvious stuff. It's the desert. Summers hit 110 to 115 degrees. June through September, you're not spending time outdoors during the day. Your electric bill in summer will spike to $300 or $400 because you're running AC nonstop at California's 30 cents per kilowatt hour rate. Budget for it. The town itself is not pretty. The old Route 66 strip has seen better days. Empty storefronts, a Walmart, some fast food, the Tanger outlets that everyone stops at on the way to Vegas. That's about it. But here's what Barstow has that most cheap towns don't. Location. 2 hours from LA, 2 hours from Vegas, an hour and a half from Big Bear ski resorts, Mojave National Preserve right there for desert hiking. Death Valley and Joshua Tree are day trips. You're at the crossroads of I-15 and I-40, connected to everywhere while paying middle-of-nowhere prices. For a retiree who wants cheap Southern California living with the option to drive into LA for the grandkids or hit Vegas for a weekend, that positioning is actually valuable. Barstow Community Hospital handles basics, but for specialists, you're driving to Victorville or San Bernardino, 45 minutes to an hour out. Crime is above average, particularly property crime. Winters, though, are gorgeous. Sunny, mild, perfect. One person on a forum described it as a town that's easy to live in if you accept what it is and don't expect what it's not. That's a fair take. Housing, 8 out of 10. Healthcare, 4. Summer heat, 2. Location and access, 7. For a Social Security retiree who can handle the heat, Barstow might quietly be the smartest budget pick in Southern California. Gold Rush Town on the Feather River, about 90 minutes north of Sacramento and Butte County. Population around 20,000. Lake Oroville, one of the biggest reservoirs in California, is right there, and the housing prices are genuinely surprising. Median home value sits around $216,000 to $313,000, depending on which source you look at. Median rent is around $914 a month. For a town that's an hour and a half from a major state capital with an international airport, those numbers are low. If you're on Social Security and renting at $900 a month, you've got almost $1,000 left over for utilities, food, and everything else. If you own a modest home outright, your monthly cost could come in well under $1,200, including property taxes, utilities, and groceries. That's comfortable Social Security territory. The lifestyle here is outdoors focused. Lake Oroville has houseboating, fishing, hiking trails all around it. The Feather River is right through town. There's a small but friendly downtown that's been slowly rebuilding, and Sacramento is close enough for a day trip when you need a real city. Now the stuff you need to know. In 2017, the Oroville Dam spillway had a catastrophic failure, and almost 200,000 people had to evacuate downstream. The state spent over $1 billion repairing it. The dam is fixed, but the reputation stuck, and that's actually part of why prices are still low. After the 2018 Camp Fire destroyed nearby Paradise, a lot of displaced residents moved to Oroville, which gave the town a population bump, but also put pressure on services. Wildfire risk in this part of Butte County is real, and fire insurance can be expensive and hard to get. Some major carriers have pulled out of the area entirely, so you might end up on the state's FAIR plan, which costs more. Factor that into your budget because it can add a couple $100s a month. Oroville Hospital is in town for basic and emergency care. For specialists, you're driving to Sacramento or Chico, about 45 minutes to an hour. The crime rate is above average, particularly property crime, which sits around 4.8%. That's something to be aware of when picking a neighborhood. But if you want lake life on a Social Security budget, in California, less than 2 hours from Sacramento, Oroville is one of the very few places where that's actually possible. Housing, 8 out of 10. Healthcare, 6. Wildfire risk, 3. Outdoor lifestyle, 8. This one is for a very specific type of person, and you'll know within 30 seconds if that's you. Weaverville is the county seat of Trinity County, about an hour west of Redding. Population just under 4,000. This is deep, rural, mountain California, the kind of place most people in the state don't know exists. And the housing prices reflect that. You can find move-in ready homes between $250,000 and $350,000. Some go lower. For California, that's almost hard to believe, but the isolation is the reason. The setting is legitimately beautiful. Trinity Alps, pine forests, rivers, clean air. If you want to wake up to mountain views, go fishing in the afternoon, and not see a traffic light all day, Weaverville delivers. The monthly cost of living here is remarkably low. If you own a home outright, you're looking at property taxes, utilities, groceries, gas, and not much else. Total monthly costs can come in under $1,500 easily. That leaves room in a Social Security budget. Even renting, while options are limited in a town this small, you can find places under $1,000 if you're patient and know where to look. Now, here's what you're giving up. The nearest full hospital is in Redding, about an hour on Highway 299. In winter, that drive can be sketchy with snow and ice. There's a small clinic in town, but anything serious means a trip out. Internet is limited. Grocery shopping is basic. The nearest Costco or Target is in Redding. Restaurants are minimal. Winters are real with snow on the ground for weeks, and the social scene is essentially non-existent in any traditional sense. People on Reddit who talk about living in Weaverville say the same thing. You either love the isolation or you go crazy within 6 months. There is no in between. This is a town for a healthy retiree with their own vehicle who genuinely wants quiet mountain life and doesn't need much around them. If that sounds like torture, skip to the next one. If that sounds like heaven, Weaverville might be the best deal on this entire list. Housing, 8 out of 10. Healthcare, 3. Internet, 3. Lifestyle for the right person, 9. For the wrong person, 2. All right, totally different direction. El Centro is in Imperial County, the far southeast corner of California, right on the Mexican border. Population around 50,000. And this city consistently ranks as having the lowest overall cost of living in all of Southern California. Rents here are genuinely affordable, with apartments available in the $900 to $1,100 range. Home prices are low, groceries are low. Pretty much everything is cheaper here than anywhere else in SoCal. Now, the obvious negative, the heat. El Centro is one of the hottest places in the entire United States. Summers regularly hit 115 degrees. That's not an exaggeration. July and August, you are not going outside during the day. Your electric bill in summer will be significant because you're running AC around the clock. That's a real budget item you have to plan for. But here's what makes El Centro unique on this list and why it's ranked higher than the previous 5. The Mexican border. Mexicali is right there, and a lot of retirees in El Centro cross into Mexico regularly for healthcare. A dental cleaning that costs $200 in San Diego might cost $25 to $30 at Mexicali. Prescription medications can be a fraction of the US price. Doctor visits for $20 to $25. This isn't theory or some fringe thing. This is what people who live here actually do. For a retiree on Social Security, where every dollar matters, that cross-border healthcare access is a genuine financial advantage that no other town on this list can offer. El Centro Regional Medical Center is in town for emergencies and basic US-side care. The economy runs on agriculture in the Imperial Valley. The town has shopping, restaurants, and all your basic services. It functions like a real small city, not a struggling rural town. And winters are beautiful. Sunny, mild, perfect weather from October through April. That's when El Centro actually shines. Some retirees treat it like a reverse snowbird situation. They endure the summer, or travel during the worst months, and enjoy some of the best winter weather in the country the rest of the year. Housing, 8 out of 10. Healthcare, including cross-border access, 7. Summer heat, 1. Winter weather, 9. Value for money, 8. The heat is brutal, but if you can work around it, El Centro gives you something no other cheap California town can. Hemet is different from everything else on this list so far. This isn't some overlooked small town that happens to be cheap. Hemet is a deliberate retirement destination. It's in Riverside County in Southern California, about 90 minutes east of LA. Population around 90,000. And the reason it matters for this video is that the entire town is basically built around retirees. There are over a dozen 55-plus communities here. Senior centers, assisted living facilities, mobile home parks with space rents as low as $540 a month. Average senior apartment rent is around $1,388. The cost of living runs about 12.5% below the California state average. Healthcare costs are below both state and national averages, which is rare. If you're on Social Security, the manufactured home route is where Hemet really shines. You can buy a mobile home in a 55-plus community for well under $200,000, sometimes under $100,000. Your monthly space rents plus utilities plus insurance can come in around $800 to $900 total. That leaves nearly $1,000 from your Social Security check for food, gas, healthcare, and everything else. That's not just surviving, that's actually comfortable. Hemet Valley Medical Center is right in town. There are multiple urgent care clinics, pharmacies, and doctors who specifically cater to older patients. That kind of healthcare infrastructure aimed directly at seniors is something the smaller towns on this list simply don't have. The weather is warm. Winters are mild and sunny. Summers get hot, but nothing like the desert towns further east. Diamond Valley Lake is nearby for outdoor activity, and the San Jacinto Mountains make a nice backdrop. Now, the downsides. Property crime in Hemet is above average. Car break-ins and theft are a real thing depending on the neighborhood. Some parts of town are well kept, and others look neglected. You need to be picky about where exactly you land. The local economy outside of healthcare and retail is weak, and it doesn't have the natural beauty or charm of some of the other towns on this list. But if what you want is a town that already knows how to serve retirees with real healthcare, established senior communities, and monthly costs that fit inside a Social Security check, Hemet is the most practical choice we've covered so far. Housing, 7 out of 10, healthcare, 8, safety, 5, retirement infrastructure, 9. This is the one I got most excited about during research. Yucca Valley sits right at the entrance to Joshua Tree National Park in San Bernardino County, high desert, about 3,000 feet elevation. And it's become this quiet magnet for artists, retirees, and remote workers who want affordable California living with actual character. One-bedroom places rent for around $900 to $950 a month. Homes are available in the low to mid 300s, with some going below if you're flexible on condition. The landscape here is unlike anything else on this list. Joshua trees, massive boulders, desert sunsets that look fake because they're so dramatic. The air is clean, the skies at night are dark enough for real stargazing, and there's a growing art and music scene that gives a town personality you don't find in most budget towns. It feels like somewhere people chose to be, not somewhere people ended up because they couldn't afford anywhere else. That energy matters when you're building a life. Now the practical stuff. High Desert Medical Center is about 10 minutes away in Joshua Tree. For anything major, you're driving to Palm Springs, about 45 minutes south. Internet has improved but can still be spotty depending on your exact address. Summer heat is real, over 100 degrees, but the elevation keeps it more bearable than the low desert. Winters are cool and pleasant. The town has basic shopping, a few good restaurants, a library, a hardware store. It's not a full-service city, but you're not stranded either. For a retiree on Social Security who wants desert beauty, a creative community, proximity to a world-famous national park, and monthly costs that actually fit the budget, Yucca Valley is hard to beat. It has something most cheap towns don't have, which is a soul. Housing, 7 out of 10. Healthcare, 5. Lifestyle and character, 9. Overall vibe, 8. Eureka is on the far northern coast of California, almost to Oregon, right on Humboldt Bay. And this is the only town on this entire list where you can hear the ocean. The median home price as of early 2026 is around $353,000 according to Redfin, and that's actually down over 11% from last year. In some neighborhoods, homes start as low as $260. Rents range from about $900 to $1,150 a month. For coastal California, those numbers are almost unbelievable. Old Town Eureka is this beautiful Victorian waterfront district with the Carson Mansion, local shops, galleries, real restaurants, and an actual sense of community. Redwood National Park is a short drive north. Humboldt Bay has kayaking, birdwatching, harbor views. You are surrounded by some of the tallest trees on the planet. This town has beauty that none of the other entries on this list can touch. And unlike most of the budget towns we've covered, Eureka has a real hospital. Providence St. Joseph Hospital is a full-service facility right in town. For a retiree, that's a big deal because healthcare access has been the weak point of almost every other town on this list. Here, it's actually solid. Now, the trade-offs. Eureka gets over 40 inches of rain a year. Winters are cool, gray, and damp for months. This is not sunny California. This is Pacific Northwest weather with a California zip code. Think Portland, not San Diego. If you need sunshine, you will be miserable here. The nearest large city is Sacramento, about 4 hours south. The job market is small, and parts of town have had issues with homelessness. But if you're a retiree who loves the coast, doesn't mind rain, and wants to live somewhere with genuine beauty and a real community on a fixed income, Eureka might be the best kept secret in the entire state. Monthly costs of owning a modest home here, including mortgage, taxes, utilities, insurance, and groceries, can realistically come in under $2,000. That's Social Security range. Housing, 8 out of 10. Healthcare, 7. Weather, 4. Beauty, 10. Value for coastal California, 10 out of 10. Nothing else comes close. And at number 1, Clearlake, the single cheapest city to live in all of California. That's not opinion. The cost of living index here is 94.8. That is below the national average. You are paying less to live in Clearlake, California than the average American city. The average home value on Zillow is around $220,000. Average rent is about $973 a month. For context, the California state median home price is over $800,000. Clearlake is less than a quarter of that. The town sits on Clearlake, which is the largest natural freshwater lake in California. Not a reservoir, a natural lake. Bigger than Lake Tahoe by surface area. The bass fishing here is legendary. There are wineries nearby in Lake County. Napa Valley is about an hour and a half south. The scenery around the lake is genuinely beautiful in a quiet, rural way. Now, the honest part, because there is a lot of it. Schools are rated around 3 out of 10. If you're retired, that doesn't affect you directly, but it says something about how much the community invests in itself. Homes sit on the market for almost 200 days on average, which means selling later could be tough. Wildfire risk is extreme. 99% of properties have some level of risk. Insurance is going to be a real line item in your budget. Crime in certain areas is above average, and the town is small and rural. No Target, no major shopping, no movie theater. You're driving to Yucca or further for anything beyond basics. But here's the thing. For a retiree on Social Security, most of those downsides are things you can work around. You don't need schools, you don't need the job market, you need affordable housing, access to nature, basic healthcare, and enough money left over to eat. Sutter Lakeside Hospital is 15 minutes away in Lakeport. Groceries, pharmacies, and basic medical services are all here. Your total monthly cost of living, including rent or a modest mortgage, utilities, food, and insurance, can realistically come in under $1,700. That leaves room in an $1,865 Social Security check. Clearlake is not perfect. It might not even be beautiful to everyone. But if the question is, can you retire in California on Social Security alone? Clearlake is a town that proves the answer is yes. Housing, 10 out of 10 for California affordability. Healthcare, 5. Lifestyle, 6. Safety, 4. Overall value for a retiree on fixed income, 9 out of 10. 10 towns, 10 different trade-offs. Some are gorgeous, some are rough around the edges. None of them are Santa Barbara or San Diego, but every single one of them fits inside a Social Security check if you're willing to be smart about it. The real question isn't which town is best, it's which trade-offs can you live with. Heat, isolation, rain, wildfire risk, limited healthcare. Pick your compromise and the math works. Let me know in the comments which one you'd actually consider. And if there's a town I missed, drop it. I'm always looking for the next one.